Final Fantasy VII is one of the most influential video games of all time, fundamentally changing how video games were made when the original released back in 1997 to Rebirth, most recently releasing in 2024, along with spin-off games such as Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus, further expanding on an already story-rich world that leaves players changed after completing the story. Well, I guess stories. And no, I did not forget Advent Children, a movie which follows the team 2 years after the events of the game. At its core, Final Fantasy VII is a game about personal identity and self-discovery, while also having very strong anti-establishment themes portrayed through Avalanche, an eco-terrorist insurgent group concerned with stopping Shinra, the electric power company, to save the world and protect the life stream from drying up. Think of this as a spiritual energy that protects the planet and enables life to flourish. The main protagonist, Cloud Strife, is a mercenary hired by Avalanche and the leader of the team, being promoted to the role as voted by the other members in your team. He claims to be an ex-soldier, but the game takes you on an incredible journey to discover the truth about this. As mentioned earlier, self-discovery and personal identity are just some of the major plot points in this game, and it's Cloud along with his childhood friend Tifa who epitomise this the most. Tifa, the deuteragonist, is a member of Avalanche and the only person who knows the real Cloud, and helps him discover himself while also discovering herself and doesn't shy away from exploring her vulnerability. Tifa is portrayed as moral and empathetic, acting as the voice of reason for the team and as the thread that holds Cloud's sanity together. Take Tifa away, Cloud would go crazy. Barrett, who I consider to be the tritagonist, is leader of Avalanche, who is conflicted in his ambitions as to whether he should take care of his adoptive daughter Marlene full-time or save the world. Barrett's story is really interesting as you progress the game. He carries a lot of traumas and wants to be the leader but doesn't know how or if he can. Aerith, another main character, is the last surviving Cetra, more commonly known as Ancients, which is an ancient race with powerful magic abilities and can commune with the planet. She is targeted by Shinra to help find the prophesized Promised Land, a land of supreme happiness. To Shinra, a land fertilized by Mako would allow them to rebuild Midgar into a new city, Neo Midgar. Aerith is rather quaint and whimsical, almost acting as a balance for the team to keep situations light-hearted and emotions in check. Red 13, an unknown canine species, or as Barrett puts it, a lab rat dog, possesses the ability to speak and joins the team until he returns home to prove he's capable of becoming a protector of his home. Red has a deep knowledge of the planet thanks to his upbringing in Cosmo Canyon. Kate Sith, a fortune-telling robot cat, is secretly remotely controlled by one of the Shinra executives to spy on the team. But as he spends more time with the team, he becomes conflicted, with this change in character being one of the most interesting in my opinion. At times, Kate can act as a comfort character, but can show real signs of vulnerability and understanding at a moment's notice. Sid closes out all of the main characters that each player will access. Sid was a former Shinra engineer and rocket scientist, pushing the boundary for characters at the time, being irritable and swearing constantly. While he isn't portrayed too much in Rebirth, his temporary role as team leader highlights his experience and authority within the team. There are two characters that could be missed by players if they did not explore the world thoroughly. Firstly, Yuffie, a material hunter from Wutai, aims to restore her homeland to its former glory, which was conquered by Shinra. Yuffie acts as both a ninja and a thief, creating an interesting dynamic when first meeting her. Given that Yuffie is the youngest in the team, she provides much comedic effect, which could also result from her immaturity. Vincent Valentine is the other optional character, a former Turk, think something like an intelligence agency, who is experimented on by Professor Hojo and can shapeshift, spiraling out of control and becoming more aggressive. He refers to his traumas as sins and is largely the most reserved team member. The game has many antagonists and does such a good job at getting the player to understand Avalanche's cause and make Shinra seem like the main antagonist, through actions like the Sect 7 plate incident where President Shinra decided to drop the entire plate on the slums just to get back at a small eco-terrorist insurgent group, killing over 50,000 people in the process. It sounds like a lot, and it's largely because it is. The story has more major antagonists such as Professor Hojo, a corrupt scientist and the executive director of the science department at Shinra, who pursues his own research in secret, disregarding ethics or morals for his own personal gain, with the most extreme example being the time he scavenged Ifana's heiress mother's corpse, cataloguing her hair, skin and organs, and psychologically tormenting Aerith over this. Or maybe we can look at Sephiroth, a former soldier who was recognized as a hero after the war with Wutai and is portrayed as a symbol of Cloud's past that haunts him. Upon learning the truth about his origin, he goes insane and plans to destroy the world in order to become a god. Even early on when you initially learn about Sephiroth through Cloud's retelling of their mission 5 years ago, he comes across as intimidating, showing extraordinary strength. I still think he is the most iconic video game villain of all time, and still causes fear even today when you hear the first note of One-Winged Angel. This is the most stacked cast across any video game, and I'm only scratching the surface. I won't talk about the lore for this video as there are already many channels who would do a much better job than I would. Looking back to the original game released in 1997, it was so influential due to technical innovations, moving to 3D and CGI, creating more immersive environments. The complex plot, game mechanics, and detailed characters push players to become attached and possibly relate to the characters, relating to the struggles each character's faced, maybe seeing a bit themselves in the characters and growing together. The game has 3 to 4 main acts, each covering a large part of the story. The pacing of each act is well balanced, they aren't too rushed or overly drawn out, allowing the player to really absorb the impact of each decisive moment and understand the gravity of the situation the planet is in as the story progresses. I played the original for the first time earlier this year and it's such a fun time. Considering the age of the game, I found it held up really well and took a surprising amount of time to complete my first playthrough, which was about 33 hours and an additional 18 just to record the footage for this video, offering plenty of challenge throughout the process. Sticking to the main entries, the remake, one of 3 games, released in April 2020, later being released on PS5 in 2021 and PC in 2022. The first entry into this remake project provided an expanded retelling of the experience of Midgar and how Cloud and the team began their adventure, built up the team and battled adversity against the likes of Sephiroth and Shinra. While this entry is a little divisive, with some players suggesting that it's unnecessarily drawn out or side quests can be boring, I personally didn't see it that way. I thought the game was excellent at introducing the characters, easing into new mechanics and adding new interactions that were not included in the original entry, mainly interactions with Biggs, Jesse and Wedge, as they were barely present at the start of the original game, allowing players now to see them as a valuable addition to the team instead of filler characters. The story was incredibly fun while also providing plenty of tense moments, and introduced an intriguing narrative point through Whispers, arbiters of fate who make sure that the events in history occur as intended, and included a short but fun DLC, which put Yuffie in the limelight, a character who could easily be missed in the original who now has relevance in this new series, providing an interesting backstory and some additional character depth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, probably my new favourite game, released on PS5 in February 2024 and a year later on PC. This entry covered much more of the story compared to the first remake entry, letting players explore from Calm all the way to the Forgotten Capital, where absolutely nothing bad happens. The game does so much right. The story is incredibly engaging and has so much depth to it, allowing characters to naturally progress and avoids the feeling of being rushed, which really allows the team to bond and form solid relationships. The dynamic relationship meter was a really neat addition, with different dialogue options and side quest completion factoring into team members' feelings, unlocking actions and cutscenes that may otherwise be missed depending on how much the player completes. Side quests are unique to each area and further push character interactions, along with the most complete combat system I've ever played in any video game. The open world is well designed, and each area has different mechanics tied to exploration, along with lots of hidden things just waiting to be discovered. World challenges are varied and simple, but that's part of the charm of each area. Unlocking the buggy and tiny Bronco to aid in traversal largely stay true to the original, which was a nice touch and suits the areas that they're used in. In both Remake and Rebirth, Sephiroth is aware of Cloud's existence from the beginning, and almost uses this at his advantage to come across as more cynical, intimidating Cloud and trying to influence his thought processes and actions throughout the story. He's more cryptic in this retelling, and I found it really interesting piecing together his insane ramblings as the story progressed, and you learn more about the complex nature of fate and the planet. He still shows unmatched strength, especially prevalent when fighting the Midgard Soma and the weapon in the livestream, reinforcing this intimidating presence and adding to the mystique of Sephiroth, making the player question whether the team will be strong enough both mentally and physically to beat Sephiroth. The aspect of there being different worlds is super interesting, and while it's currently not clear what direction it's heading in, the inclusion of Zack as the main protagonist of these different worlds is a really neat touch. We don't learn about Zack and his relationship with Cloud until later on in the original, but the way it's now changed in the remake opens up so many different outcomes for Zack and these other worlds. In the original, Cloud doesn't remember Zack until he rebuilds his memory, but this time Cloud does now remember Zack in the remake, with them both being brought together by fate once again. Visually, the game is stunning. Considering that the game has an incredible amount of cutscene based storytelling, it doesn't take away from the gameplay experience and seamlessly transitions between the two, with the quality largely being unmatched compared to any other game out there currently. I was so drawn into the world and everything felt so finely designed, refined and stay true to the original, the game offers so much, from moments such as this, and a large amount of minigames such as these, to moments like this.
What about our adventure?
Miss, do you need help?
Please, take her somewhere safe.
Safe to say, you will experience it all, and to top it all off, possibly the best soundtrack I've ever heard. With each game continuing to build upon the immaculate foundation that the original provided, I can't wait to see what's in store for the third and final entry into this remake series. Hopefully Square Enix will deliver an even better final entry and a fitting conclusion to this retelling, or I guess reinvention of the Final Fantasy VII story. If you'd like to see more of what I do, consider subscribing or leaving a comment suggesting a game for me to review. Thank you all for your time, and hopefully I'll see you around.